The next item on the agenda is the presentation by PACE. Mr. Steve Andrews, are you here?
Steve Andrews is not here, but Charlotte Obazinski, I knew I wouldn't say that right, is here from PACE to do a brief presentation on the Pulse line. As you know, Pulse is a line that is going to be a bus rapid transit line, a bus that operates more like a train that will go from the Jefferson Park RTA station to Golf Mill Mall. We're very excited about the progress that has been going on, and we felt that the board needed an update on this. As you know, we recently approved an intergovernmental agreement with PACE regarding advertising shelters within not only the Pulse line, but the entire village shelter network. Tonight, later on after this presentation, you will be actually asked to approve an intergovernmental agreement to approve the construction of the Pulse station. So we are getting very close. It's a very exciting time for suburban transit. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Charlotte.
Thanks for the build-up, Ross. Good evening, and thank you to President Schubillo and the rest of the board for the opportunity to speak with you tonight about the Pulse Milwaukee line. As Ross mentioned, my name is Charlotte Obazinski. I am the supervisor of the Rapid Transit program for PACE, and it is my responsibility to oversee the implementation of the Pulse Milwaukee line, as well as other future Pulse lines for PACE Bus. So tonight I'm just going to be giving a brief overview of the Rapid Transit program, what Pulse is, what's going on with the Pulse Milwaukee line, what we've done to date in terms of public outreach. This is a project that I'm sure many of you know has been going on for many years, and there's been a variety of public outreach efforts that have taken place over the years to communicate with the public with what we're doing. I'm also going to be going over what our stations look like, where they're going to be located within the village, how we came upon those final station locations, and then finally we're getting to construction, so I'm going to be covering that as well as the project timeline and our Pulse Dempster, the Pulse Dempster line, which is also going to be touching upon the village as well.
Okay.
So. And then also, if you guys have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to stop me. I'm more than happy to field those. Before I get too far into the weeds about the Milwaukee project, I just wanted to give a brief refresher on what the Pulse program is. The Pulse program was previously known as our arterial rapid transit line, which I'm sure you've heard PACE talk about for many years again, as we came up with this term back in 2001 when we identified 24 priority corridors to receive high-speed frequent bus service as part of our visioning plan, Vision 2020. In 2009, we followed up that study with an arterial rapid transit study and identified 7 priority corridors to be implemented within the first 10 years of the program. Milwaukee Avenue was number 1 on that prioritization list. And then it's going to be followed by the Pulse Dempster line again, which was priority number 2 on that very list. So what is the actual Pulse lines? What are they going to look like? How are they different from our current bus service? Pulse really stands apart in that it's going to offer higher frequencies, which I'm going to be getting into what the schedules are going to look like in just a second. We offer faster travel times, shorter wait times, thanks to limited stop service and infrastructure technologies. We're also offering improved schedule reliability by utilizing transit signal priority through a regional program with the RTA. We also provide links to CTA, Metro, and other PACE buses, and of course improved connections to the Niles free bus system, which was priority on our minds when we looked to restructure that system just a couple years back. We also are offering enhanced station amenities with modern heated shelters, pavement snow melt systems to clear those station areas during the winter, real-time information via LCD screens that are going to be at every location, as well as improved bicycle and pedestrian connectivity through our work with IDOT. In addition to the station enhancements, Pulse offers passengers the convenience of free onboard Wi-Fi and USB charging ports on our vehicles, which is certainly an enhancement. As you can see in the photo on the slide, this is what the bus wraps are going to look like. They're going to be branded to set them apart from our existing fleet, so they're easily identifiable out on the street. And that picture you see up in the right-hand corner, that's actually the interior of one of the Pulse buses that's going to be operating the service. And as you can see, there's an LCD monitor within the bus. There's actually 2 of them. And those are going to be displaying route information and next stops, much like you see on the CTA rail cars. And as with all PACE vehicles, there will be accompanying audio announcements announcing next stops, as well as bicycle racks and ADA ramps, which is standard on all of our vehicles. So where are these stations going to be located throughout the village, and how do we determine these? The Pulse Milwaukee line, as Ross mentioned, goes from the Jefferson Park Transit Center in Chicago up to the Golf Mill Mall in Niles. It's about 7.6 miles in length. Along those 7.6 miles, we're only going to be stopping at 8 intermediate station pairs, as well as 2 terminals. I think right now there's 52 local stops, so we're going to be reducing it down. That being said, at these 8 intermediate station pairs, we are serving about 92% of existing riders within a quarter of a mile walk of each of these stations. If you take that down to an eighth of a mile, we're still serving about 84% of existing passengers along this segment. In Niles, the stations are going to be constructed at Golf Mill Mall, Dempster, Maine, Oakton, Harlem, and Touby. It's important to note that the existing service on the corridor, Route 270, will continue to serve all of those other 52 stops that I just mentioned, though this will be done at a reduced frequency that I'm going to get into in just a moment. So when identifying the station location, a number of factors were considered. Number one was really our PACE ridership patterns. And then we looked next at the site constraints, safety conditions. Are there sidewalks? Is it a mid-block crossing? What was the proximity to the other stations and other bus routes? Typically, we try to maintain a half-mile station spacing along the corridor. What were the impacts on adjacent property owners? We want to be good neighbors, so we don't want somebody not wanting us to be there. Also, what were the different municipal plans? Niles has been great about working with PACE over the years, working on the form-based code for Milwaukee Avenue, as well as the bike and pedestrian plans that have taken place. So we really wanted to make sure that all of these meshed well together. Additionally, station locations were selected with input from the village, as well as a local advisory group members that we convened with on multiple occasions. We also completed a detailed environmental review of these stations, and at that time we looked at alternatives within these different intersections. So Pulse Service is going to offer that higher frequency that I had spoken about before. Pulse headways are going to operate at about every 10 minutes during the peak period and about every 15 minutes during the off-peak period. We're going to start service at 5 a.m. and we're going to go until midnight, which is a greater span of service than is offered today. We're going to offer that 15-minute service until about 10 p.m. and then we're going to go down to 30-minute frequencies until midnight. Now, I had mentioned before that Route 270 is proposed to be cut back. That would go down to 30-minute headways during the peak and 60-minute headways during the off-peak. But of course, all of this is going to be subject to public hearing, which we would likely hold sometime in the spring. But this does amount to a net increase of 2 more vehicles per hour on the corridor as well. So it is an enhancement. So in addition to all of the planning studies that we've done, PACE also conducted several advisory group and public open houses to share our plans with local stakeholders and community members to receive feedback. We also met individually with private property owners to discuss the station locations and the anticipated construction impacts as well. And obviously PACE is going to continue this outreach as we move into construction in the coming years, or not coming years, coming months, promise, and as we prepare to start for the Pulse launch. So what are these stations going to look like? Here's a rendering of a typical Pulse station. It includes a near-level boarding platform. What this allows us to do is to speed up the boarding and alighting process for our passengers. If you're familiar with our vehicles, a lot of times you'll hear that beep, 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 beep as the vehicle lowers to allow people with mobility devices or people who have limited movement to be able to step up onto the bus. This allows for the bus to pull right up to the curb and it's level. So if you have a stroller or a wheelchair, you'd be able to roll right onto the vehicle, helping speed up that boarding and alighting time. We'll also be incorporating a reinforced concrete pad into the roadway to prevent rutting, so that'll be a preventative measure for maintenance on the roadway. The shelters are also heated with push-button activated shelter heaters. They'll stay on for only 5 minutes, so it's not going to be very comfortable for somebody to sleep in there to get up and push the button. That was a concern we heard from community members, and so we have accounted for that. Then also on the left-hand side of the shelter, you'll see that vertical marker. These are really going to be the calling cards to identify these station locations along the corridors. They include an LCD monitor with real-time information. We'd also be able to push out emergency messaging from our headquarters on those signs as well. We also are including customizable railing infill panels that you can see just behind the vertical marker, and I'm going to be getting into more detail on that in just a second. Trash receptacles, customizable landscaping, and of course everything is ADA compliant. Sorry. So one of the main things that we wanted to do with the Pulse program is to provide infrastructure to communities that you can rally behind and really make part of your community, because we're investing in you and we want you to be invested in us. So as part of this Pulse program, PACE is coordinating with our partnering municipalities to customize these Pulse shelters. One of the customization features is that PACE is paying for the back panels of the shelters to be constructed of etched glass. So this is actually the design for the Southbound Touby station that we worked with the Village of Niles to put together. And this again will be etched on that back panel. We also are, but here you go, this is what the shelter at Touby is going to look like. This is just adjacent to the memorial fountain across the street from the police station. You can also see in between the shelter and the vertical marker is those railing infill panels that I had mentioned. Those are also a customizable feature that we've worked with the village to design. And then I believe we are swapping out the standard bike racks that we have for the Pulse stations to do the ones that you are already purchasing throughout the village to have that continuity in the street furniture. This is another rendering of one of the stations. This is next to the Oak Mill Mall. You can get a kind of a better idea of what these landscaping features are that we're putting in. It kind of just melds into the existing streetscape that's already out there today. So where's the project now? To date, PACE has made great progress on the Milwaukee line, advancing through the planning study, federally required environmental review because we are using federal congestion mitigation air quality dollars for the construction of this project. And I am pleased to announce that at our May board, we approved the construction contract for this project. And we're anticipating that construction is going to break ground this summer. Right now, we're pending utility permits as well as some permits from IDOT and on the southern end from our partners at CDOT. We anticipate that service is going to begin in 2018 following the completion of the work. Once we do break ground, it's a 240-day construction period, and we have the winter to contest with as well, so we'll just have to we'll keep you updated on the schedule once we get things underway and we have a better idea of when that firm completion date will be. So in addition to Milwaukee Avenue, PACE is advancing our work on the second Pulse line, which is along Dempster Street. We're currently in the federally required environmental review phase for this project. The Dempster line will intersect the Milwaukee line at Dempster Street, which makes sense here in the Village of Niles. And the Dempster line is going to provide Niles with that same high level of service that I had mentioned before, and will take you to destinations such as O'Hare Airport, the Des Plaines Metro Station, the Dempster Yellow Line Station, as well as the Davis CTA Station in downtown Evanston. Construction is anticipated to begin in 2019 on this line. CMAP recently came out with their preliminary recommendations for CMAQ funding for the 2019 cycle, and I'm pleased to announce that we made it through the first round of that. Public comment for the advancement of that recommendation starts August 5th, and certainly we are looking to our municipal partners to help support this project as we move along that process with CMAP. If there are any questions in the future, Steve Andrews, who unfortunately could not be here tonight, is the primary contact for the village on this project. So you can feel free to email him on that. Also, for more information on the project, you can visit us at pacebus.com/pulse. I also really want to point out that PACE appreciates the village's tireless support of this program. I know we've been talking about the Pulse Milwaukee line for many years, and thank you to Steve Veniciano, Ross Clicker, Bruce Sylvester, and Mary Anderson for being patient with us and then working with us every step of the way to advance this project over the years. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions that you may have.
I'm going to go with permission of the board. I'd like to go first.
Sure.
Thank you. I'm very happy and I'm impressed with this project because Niles in the 2030 plan, what was called for was a downtown and a transit center. Obviously, there's no more trains going northwest toward Wisconsin. And so we can't even pretend to be Park Ridge or Glenview or some of those other suburbs. However, this gives us an opportunity to give transit to our retail shopping centers. It also will bring people from the east, meaning Evanston and other places, to, if they want to go to Golf Mill, they could transfer at Milwaukee Avenue and Dempster and go to Golf Mill. I believe the plan is to put a transit station in Golf Mill, and also the possibility exists that you will continue this line up to Glenview?
That is the possibility in the long term, yes. So that would be the next phase that we would be looking to do. So again, I had mentioned that we have those 7 priority lines that we're looking to do. That would be over the next 10 years. So the extension up into Glenview, that is the second phase of that project. And so we would be looking in the midterm horizon, 10 to 15 years to do that extension.
So, Steve, what's the acronym for, did you send that to me?
Transit-oriented development?
Yes. I used to take the Blue Line downtown, and I saw on the Blue Line amazing development that goes along on Milwaukee Avenue in Logan Square and other parts, Jefferson Park. And it's called Transit
Oriented development.
Oriented development, thank you. I probably
TOD.
never will remember that. But I do know that we have a Milwaukee Avenue corridor plan that this will make more possible than without it. It will, I think, bring developers in because now people will find it convenient to live on Milwaukee Avenue above a retail center and then go down to Milwaukee Avenue and go off to either north, but more presumably they would go south. So development and revenue is going to stream into the village of Niles, protecting our budget and the things that we need to do. So for that reason, I'm very, very happy with this.
And I, again, want to applaud the village for having the foresight of doing the planning work that needed to be done to support this line too.
Did that help get this?
It was kind of, Steve, if you want to speak to it.
Well, back in 2004, we received our first RTA grant to work with PACE on this particular project. And it was a matter of additional grants after that to improve Milwaukee, to make it more safe with the better improved crossings, to make it more livable. And that all added to the possibilities of improving our chances of getting a Pulse program here.
Well, all the more reason, because planning is important, right?
And we really want to use Niles as the poster child of how to do things correctly, for how to be transit supportive. And I think this is a very exciting opportunity. And I think we're already starting to reap the benefits on it on our existing service right now with the improved sidewalk connectivities and streetscaping that's taken place here in the village. So I'm very excited to see how this will advance in the future.
Now, I'm done almost. These buses, these express buses, they won't be free like our free bus, will they?
No. No, but
Too
they
bad.
will be PACE's standard fare. So currently that's $1.75.
Okay. Thank you. Denise?
Yes, hello. I'm a member of the Gladstone Park Chamber, and so they've gone through this process already, and I know a main concern they had was the loss of some street parking. we're very different communities, fortunately, in terms of our route. Do you know on our particular route, is there an issue with street parking that we have to worry about?
There is no reduction in street parking as part of this. There were opportunities for us to, I had spoken about those 52 local stops that we had on
Yes.
this route. There were opportunities for us to take away those local stops and relocate them at the pull stations so we could gain back some parking, but I really only think it impacted like 2 spaces.
Okay.
We were very cognizant of that, especially within the city of Chicago.
Sure.
It was less of an issue out this way.
Right.
As a matter of fact, we're not even taking any parking at Golf Mill, so.
Okay. And then in terms of the station that you showed by the fountain,
Yeah, I can back up.
that's offset, correct? That's not in front of the fountain?
Oh,
That's
correct,
not-
yeah,
okay,
yeah, so
that's,
it's just a little south of there,
Okay.
so you can see in the photo,
Similar to where it is now?
yeah, just
okay.
it's probably just a little bit further south than the existing shelter
Okay.
out there right now, so we also took special care not to block the village tree with the pulse vertical marker. We spoke with your arborist during the community outreach, so been very, again, staff has been really good to work with, and they've been very vocal to protect the needs of the village.
Very good. Thank you so much.
George?
No, I'm actually quite comfortable. It was,
Yeah, just one
very-
quick question. Oh,
That's right.
I'm sorry, the mayor
That's all
gave me
right.
the nod, so
It
you were
was
still
a very thorough report, and I appreciate everything. I like to see when governmental agencies work together and help each other out. I think that this is going to be a positive for our community. Thank you.
Since revenue is the most important element to continue services, the logo that says Niles, is there opportunity for advertising on all of these stations?
So you can see.
And two questions, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
And the second part of the question, which is more important than the first part, is does the Village of Niles receive the revenue?
Actually, you know what, I might be able to jump in on that.
Jump in, Steve.
As you know, we have a current agreement with ICNSC. And last, it was 2 meetings ago, we actually passed the agreement for this particular switchover. So we'll be receiving all new stations, including these larger ones, plus an improved return on the advertisement on the shelters.
Thank you.
Is that a trustee? You good?
Yes.
Okay. No. John?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, just to echo on your statement about retail, it's also going to help the workforce too, because the trend's been that a lot of young professionals are moving into the city or moving into the outskirts of the suburbs, and we could use Jefferson Park as our actual train station, and it's so convenient that they have a choice of the Blue Line or the Metro, so it's a win-win for our corporate people too that are maybe looking to move in the Niles and have easy access to the city. And I think it's a great plan.
Okay. If there's nothing else, just to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Hope
you.
to see you soon.